Hello, everyone. Happy Freedom Friday. It is Friday again, you guys, and today was a good day. And my encouraging word for today is stop feeling guilty for being human. Stop feeling guilty for being human. This is a very personal word today, by the way. So today was one of those days where, I was challenged to practice what I preach. And I was asked a question that I won't say here, and I gave an honest answer. I was not expecting my honest answer to be shared with the rest of the table, but it was a necessary exercise for me because after sharing my honest answer and being one of those people who just sucks it up and I just hold it in until it's just like an absolute necessity. Um, the fact that I actually said how I felt about something today, honestly, it took me through the guilt cycle of like, you don't want to make nobody else feel bad. You can handle that concern. It's no need to share things people can't do anything about. That whole thing. But what I actually realized later on in the day when I was speaking to some other colleagues is that I wasn't the only person who was feeling that particular way. Um, yeah, and that I wasn't, crazy or super sensitive or, whatever to feel the way I felt. And I think the difference now compared to other times where I just really just felt numb to things and didn't really care per se is that I'm actually healthier now. I will count back to the time when I finished my doctoral program. I'll never forget. When I finished my doctoral program, I went through what I thought was, it felt like burnout. Basically, like everything was getting on my nerves. It didn't take much at all for me to feel overwhelmed, and, I just remember thinking, like, this is burnout. They talk about this. This happens when you finish a doctoral program. You've been isolated. You have been hyper focused for years working on this thing. And now that it is done and you are expecting relief, you're actually allowing yourself to feel all of the things that you ain't had time for when you were in your program. So, I felt like it was burnout. I learned over time that there were other things. There was burnout, but then there was also that um, my age. I was getting older. I was changing from one decade to the next, and so different things were happening with me that I needed to assess and address. And which, by the way, no worries, I am completely fine. But yeah, I think because I am a lot more present with how I actually feel about things, I am less likely to numb out and not feel unpleasant emotions. And also able to experience joy more. It's less of just a head thing and more of like an actual feeling. So yeah, I had to be reminded today that actually having feelings about things is not bad, which I know. I'm a counselor. I have a PhD in counseling and almost 10 years of experience working with people in the counseling field. Um, so yeah, it's just something how community really does make a difference. And when you are a more self-sufficient type, sometimes you miss out on what sharing your thoughts or your take on things in a safe space can actually do. There's so much that can be diffused when you share what is happening with you in a safe space instead of holding it in. Of course, I know there's some self control, there's some timing, some management that comes with that. But sometimes it's just best to say how you feel. So I was challenged today to practice what I preach. And to talk myself through walk myself through knowing that you are safe. You don't have to be stoic in every moment. You can say if something hurts you. You can say if you notice something and it made you feel a particular way. It's okay to do that. Just the way you are constantly asking people, what's going on, how you feel about thus and such, how did that bother you? What would you have? Literally, my very being. It is how I assess and talk to the people around me. Is in me to do that, especially when I know that in some spaces I might be the only person to ask. Yeah, I was challenged today to practice what I preach and, allow other people to understand my point of view in areas where it wasn't even their responsibility to do anything about it. But it was my responsibility in those moments to be honest. So, yeah, that is a Freedom Friday moment for you. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I have quite a weekend ahead of me. I really should have went to the nail salon when I got off work today. I should have went straight to the nail salon, but I did not because I want to do some things at home while I am in the mood to do it to get my weekend started off right. And I hit up the nail salon tomorrow. So I'll come back and share a little nail salon with you all tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. All right, happy Freedom Friday. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend and I'll see you again soon. Make sure you hit the like button on this video. Just hit the like button. It's not hard. You done sat here and watched the whole video. Hit the like button. Leave me a Freedom Friday comment and I'll check in with y'all again soon.